No gimmicks, no battles, and certainly no grand spectacle this week, but plenty of solid character work, and even justice for some of the forgotten faces of this show. House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 4 Tumbleton gives us the real Daeron Targaryen. Daemon finally starts acting like a father, and Rhaenyra's downward spiral continues. After the so-called conceptual episode last week, focusing mostly on the first few days of the new Queen's reign, we step away from the Iron Throne and spend much needed time with characters outside of the Big Three. This episode marks the halfway point of the season, and we are on the road to the infamous Battles of Tumbleton, the quiet market town that raised the banners of the Dragon Queen, but is now under Hightower occupation. Rhaenyra's dragons could easily rain fire on Lord Ormond's forces, but in the end it would only result in the death and destruction of her people. For now she has to play the long game, but after the revelation that the crown is broke, how much time does she really have? We spend a lot of time inside Tumbleton. The Hightower occupation is far from peaceful, and it's only going to get worse from here. Ormond is basically the big bad of the season. Fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer know what I mean. Ormond is Alicent's cousin and the current Lord of the Hightower. He's clearly a dick, and he may ally himself with the Greens, but in the end, his interests lie with his own house and their beliefs. He took Alicent's youngest son Daeron as a ward from a very young age, and you guys know I've been very vocal about the lack of screen time for certain characters. It's far too late for many, but they have done an excellent job with Daeron. I still find the fake Targaryen plot was pointless, but the real Daeron has done more in 10 minutes than others have done in 2.5 seasons. He seems like a good kid, far removed from his older brothers. He was raised in Old Town as a Hightower ward, in the light of the Seven under the Starry Sept. He speaks kindly and says his prayers. Ormond's plan is to make him king. A Hightower in all but name would sit the Iron Throne, with the residents of Old Town holding all the cards. Daeron clearly fears Ormond. He's likely seen these tantrums time and time again. He never wanted to kill Hugh's brother-in-law. He wanted to show mercy, but Ormond has a firm grip on him. But even though the kid was raised as a Hightower, it looks more like his mother than father, he's certainly a Targaryen at heart. He loves his dragon Tessarion, and you can see the pain he suffers having her chained up. Daeron's love for his dragon disgusts Ormond, as he sees them as abominations, born from dark magic, and the Targaryens a savage race who conquered their lands. Daeron is nothing more than a tool to Ormond, just like how his mother Alicent was a tool when she was married off to Viserys all those years ago. Fans have been screaming out for Daeron for a long time, and I'm personally very happy with what I've seen so far. I loved how Tessarion was ready to go for Ormond, and you guys know I have a very mixed relationship when it comes to the show altering parts of Fire and Blood, some of which have worked wonders, whilst others have fallen very flat. But personally, I would not be against Tessarion getting a little late night Hightower snack further down the road. But Tessarion won't be the only dragon to be all fired up in the market town. After all that went down with Hugh's family, the Hammer and the Bronze Fury will surely get involved. Hugh has been given part watch of the town, but unlike Ulf, he has a very personal reason in this affair. Hugh rides the second largest dragon in the realm, Vermithor, so he's not a man you want to piss off. Ulf, on the other hand, is very happy to continue being the local hero down the pub with his mates. Perhaps Rhaenyra's biggest mistake will be barring Ulf from the pub. Never come between a man and his beer. Book readers know where this all leads. All I'll say is this, the show has done well, giving the dragon seeds a reason for what's to come, rather than it kind of feeling out of the blue. But away from Tumbleton, Rhaenyra's woes continue. She has the Iron Throne, but lacks the coin and legitimacy to keep it. The occupation of Tumbleton only adds to her concerns. I know people have become very tired of Rhaenyra holding back, asking her council time and time again, what would you have me do? But she is right to hold back when it comes to Tumbleton, as she would only be known as Maegor returned. She does plan on sending in Daemon's Riverland army. There will be bloodshed, but nothing compared to the carnage that dragons would create. And something I've noticed was Viserys was name dropped several times. For some, he was a weak king, and in the end, many blame him for the Dance of the Dragons. But as Rhaenyra said, he kept the peace, and she wants to rule in a very similar vein. Rhaenyra kind of takes a backseat this week, but that's okay. She basically got a full episode last time around, and I've always said the early seasons of Thrones had the perfect balance of screen time between its characters. House of the Dragon, not so much, but this episode for sure was a step in the right direction. but as I said earlier, it's a little bit too late for some. Anyways, Rhaenyra has now employed a new master of coin, our very own Jacob Kowalski, Torrhen Manderley, and she rids the small council of its balls. Not sure if this is a way of them finding an excuse for why they don't show up in Thrones, or if it's some sort of girl power joke. She's also got a new act in hand. Corlys is clearly done with her after she refused to legitimize his sons, so he's gone out looking for a fight. And in his stead, he's appointed Alan to run the kingdom. Not sure what his qualifications are, but at least he made a suggestion on how to deal with the rat problem. And Rhaenyra's also learned a possible weakness in Ormond, his sensitivity to odours, so I guess that's why he's always sniffing that bottle. No idea what her plan is going to be, maybe a giant stink bomb to root him out of his keep. But Rhaenyra has more than Ormond to concern herself with. Like I say, she's got no money, but many mouths to feed, and some of those mouths are already turning on her, naming her the Queen of Bastards. Oh, they didn't, did they? They said the B word. Obviously, word gets back to Rhaenyra, and she's pissed. She wants to put an end to it, and she has her gold cloaks out there, but they are very heavy-handed, and let's not forget they don't have coin to pay them, so it's gonna likely just be the beginning of the brutality. And in the end, it'll be Rhaenyra the Cruel that's to blame. Aegon makes his glorious return. His goal of reaching Rook's Rest hasn't exactly gone to plan. He has no men and must keep his true identity a secret, even if that means he must get his hands dirty. And Aegon's a weird one because they tried so hard to make him the worst possible human being in Season 1. But even though Season 2 was a rough ride for many of the cast, Aegon was actually very well written, and we even started to feel sympathy for him. A feeling that has returned when he hugged the lifeless corpse of his dragon Sunfire. And supposedly Sunfire has been in this state since the battle, but Aegon refuses to believe he is dead. His dragon may be his last hope in regaining his throne. I did notice he took one of the dragon's scales, so I guess that's going to play part later. He's already nearly lost his head, so I guess he'll have to play beggar a little bit longer. At least Larys is having a good time. You could not tell me he was not rock hard when Aegon was forced to kiss some boot. At Harrenhal, Criston Cole and Gwaine Hightower find no prince nor Granny Godzilla. Seriously, where the hell is the giant dragon hiding? Instead, they meet Alice Rivers, who keeps Aemon's whereabouts and her plan hush-hush. It's kind of weird how Aemond has been sidelined. I'm sure he's going to return next week, or maybe the one after, but it just feels like they're wasting one of the most popular characters on this show. Basically, they have nothing for him. We have whatever was going on with Alice, but in the end, we are just waiting for a showdown with Daemon above the God's Eye. And I kind of feel the same for Cole, who has become a bit of a bit part player, but his hatred for Rhaenyra has not subsided, and the thought of her sitting the Iron Throne won't go down well with him. But I am interested to see how the truth of Aemon's whereabouts are revealed. Let's just hope we don't have to endure too many Harrenhal nightmares in the meantime. Now, Daemon has some of the best parts this week. He's at the Eyrie in the Vale looking for gold from Lady Arryn. She does give in to his demands, but I'm sure she would have preferred to throw him out the moon door. I guess the big red dragon at her door kept her in line. And Caraxes is absolutely brilliant. He's basically a big cat who can smell another one in his territory. He disobeys Daemon, something we thought would never happen, but he's up for a fight, and he has it in for Sheepstealer. I love how Caraxes is one of the fiercest dragons, but he has that little high-pitched screech. And he may not be the largest, but he's battle-hardened, and he can for sure handle himself in a scrap. Even a little telling off and a glove slap won't persuade the Bloodworm to put to rest his new vendetta against the Wild Dragon. This is when Daemon learns it was Rhaena who rides Sheepstealer, something that not only amazes him, but also frightens him. As a Wild Dragon cannot be trusted, this is the very first time Daemon has given more than a passing thought to his youngest daughter. But let's not kid ourselves, he's never been Father of the Year. But Rhaena kind of feels like she was looked down upon, because she never had her own dragon. She felt disregarded, the least of his children, even pitied. For what is a Targaryen without a dragon? Well, for sure now she has Daemon's attention. It's almost like the show was acknowledging its poor work when it comes to Daemon and his kids. Daemon knows that Rhaenyra will want revenge for Jace's death, so he comes up with a rather foolish plan to get Rhaena out of hot water, but Rhaena won't leave her dragon. Sheepstealer is now a part of her. Honestly, no matter what Daemon suggests, they are kinda screwed. Rhaena feels so guilty. It will live with her forever. And now that Rhaenyra has taken her first life, who knows what she'll do with Rhaena if she was brought to King's Landing. But anyways, Rhaena flees on the dragon, and Daemon has the dumb idea to kill a local goat herder and present his burnt skull as the rider of Sheepstealer. He presents it to Rhaenyra at the small council, but she's not satisfied. she wanted to look into the eyes of the one that she blames for Jace's death. And Mysaria does not believe it. No doubt she'll investigate and learn the truth from Lady Arryn. Maybe Daemon isn't the smartest person in the room after all. And the cracks in Rhaenyra and Daemon's relationship have started to show. And when she learns the truth that Daemon deceived her, she is gonna be pissed. And it's clear this is the show's version of the Nettle storyline. It's just one problem after another for the new queen, and to top it all off, her half-sister Rhaena is pregnant. Maelor is coming. No idea how it makes sense, but I guess it means Rhaenyra will have another relative who could get in her way of keeping the Iron Throne. It may be time for Rhaena and Alicent to vacate the Red Keep, as Rhaenyra will only play nice for so long. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It lacked the memorable moments from the first two, and it might not have had a quirky gimmick from the third one. And to be honest, you might not want to rush back to watch this time and time again, but I thought it moved the story along very well, and it gave several secondary characters some well-needed screen time, with Aegon, Rhaena, Daeron and Ormond standing very tall. I loved everything in Tumbleton, Rook's Rest and the Vale. Caraxes is just a sweetheart, and I just wish some of the other dragons got a little more love. Anyways, let's just hope the hard work delivered in this episode pays off in the coming weeks. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this episode. Let me know the good and the bad. What was your favourite part of the episode? But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.